that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day.
Hello, my sunshines. I'm Imara Walker. This is Walker and Sunshine, a place where I do cultural commentary, and you are watching my channel. Welcome back, my sunshines. Thank you for coming and making my day just a little bit brighter. If you would like to add to that glow, you can like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you know when I post my next video. And if you would like to add to that glow just a little bit more, you can follow me on my social medias. My Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok will be on the screen somewhere. You can follow me on those social medias because I'm kind of low-key and consistent on YouTube, but I'm working on that. I just graduated from college, so I have a little bit more free time. So yeah. What else? You can look at my back catalog. I have 3 videos up. The last one was my 2023 predictions bingo card, a really funny one. I need to do an update on that, like a quarterly update, so I can tell you guys if I was right or wrong about some things. After that, I guess before that, was my Darby and the Dead review, which stars Rael Downs and Olii Carvalho. So very fun, you should check that out. As well as season 3 of Blood and Water was the video before that, which has a bunch of beautiful black leads, black female leads. So I think all of those are amazing videos and you should check them out. But yeah, without further ado, we're going to be talking about today's topic, which is Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story. I keep wanting to say Bridgerton Experience, which is like the live thing that they had, which people could like go to. I'll put a picture of it so you can know what I'm talking about, because right now I'm doing a terrible job explaining it. But yes, today we are talking about Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story. Before I get into it, I just want to put out a spoiler warning. There are 6 episodes, and I'm going to be talking about each and every one of those episodes. Most of the characters I'm going to be talking about, people who are like main characters and I feel like need addressing, I'm going to be talking about that. I'm going to be spoiling everything. So also, I'm going to put just a blanket spoiler warning for Bridgerton season 1 and season 2 as well. Some things that we talk about in the Queen Charlotte story, a Bridgerton story, might accidentally like spoil some stuff if you haven't seen the Bridgerton series, like the original series. So just know, spoiler warning, spoiler warning, spoiler warning. Do not come into the comments and say, hey, you spoiled the show for me, because there was a warning, multiple warnings. But yeah, so I'm going to be talking about, I think first is going to be the characters, and then I'm going to talk about the styling, and then I'm going to go into an episode by episode breakdown. So I'm going to have that in the timestamp. Without further ado, let's get into it. Today I have styled myself in the fashion of Queen Charlotte, which I guess I could have talked about in the styling section, but I put a little effort, so I want you guys to acknowledge me now. I put on a little corset because there was like a little corset moment in all the dresses that they have. This is the only one that I could find that was like kind of close to what they were doing, but my titties aren't overflowing out of it like some of theirs look like they're doing. Maybe I should put a push-up bra or something underneath this. I put on a pearl headband, which is kind of emulating the Queen's, was it a tiara? Her hair embellishments that they had in the show. Very beautiful. We'll get into that when we talk about the styling and everything. But yeah, I'm going to talk about what is Bridgerton. Bridgerton is a novel series, or a novella series, that was written by Julia Quinn. I believe the first one started in the year of 2000. There are 9 books, and each of them follow a Bridgerton sibling, starting from A to, I want to say, H. I think Hyacinth might be the last one. Not sure, can't quote me on that, but I will look and put corrections on the screen if need be. And this book series was adapted by Shonda Rhimes. Shonda Rhimes is known for her Shondaland Productions, which includes the likes of How to Get Away with Murder as well as Scandal, which are 2 very popular shows in their own. So she decided to adapt Bridgerton, and I'm not sure exactly which year the first season of Bridgerton came out. I'll put it on the screen, but there was a collaboration between Julia Quinn and Shonda Rhimes, and that is how we got Queen Charlotte, A Bridgerton Story. People loved the person who played Queen Charlotte and they wanted more, and they decided to do a spin-off series for Queen Charlotte. So there is actually a book coming out, and the book is coming out on May 9th, 2023. So this video may or may not be out before the book comes out. But Queen Charlotte, A Bridgerton Story on Netflix is completely written by Shonda Rhimes because, like I said, there was no book for it that was out, and the show got put out on May 4th, which is Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. So yeah, I'm going to read the Wikipedia little blurb to tell you what Queen Charlotte, A Bridgerton Story is about. So Queen Charlotte, A Bridgerton Story is a drama limited series created by Shonda Rhimes for Netflix. The series is a prequel spin-off of the Netflix series Bridgerton and focuses on young Queen Charlotte's rise to prominence and power. The series premiered on May 4th, 2023 and consists of 6 episodes. So that is what the show is about. And I think we're going to get into the characters that the show comprises of. So let's get into that. I have a list of characters in front of me. I tried to put them in the order that they appeared in the show. It's not necessarily who's more important than the other. So with that in mind, the first person is Charlotte, of course, our queen, our main character, giving us everything except a nice hairline. I don't know if this is the actress's, like, if it's her natural hairline. If it is, very sorry, charge it to my head, not my heart. But the hairline looks very unnatural on her. I'm not sure, but besides that, this actress does a wonderful job. I saw little snippets where they were talking about they put the prosthetic like moles on her and everything, and she very much looked like the person who plays Queen Charlotte. I think the nose was slight different for me, that I was just like, like it's bothering me a little bit. But Queen Charlotte, she's very headstrong, ambitious, and you can see that in her as an adult, but you can see that she's also conformed / assimilated to the way that the British is, because in the show, Queen Charlotte and her brother, they are German, which they didn't have German accents. I don't know if I'm just ignorant to like European ways, but when they spoke, it sounded completely like the people who were from England. So not sure about that. But Queen Charlotte was just very headstrong. She was, independent. Like, I don't want to say she's a strong, independent woman who doesn't need no man, because that's what it was giving, but also it was giving that she wanted George. Like, she was 17 when she got married to him, and she just wanted a companion. It was about her finding herself while also falling in love with George, and I thought that was very beautiful. So next, Adolphus. He didn't get as much screen time as I thought he was going to. This is Queen Charlotte's brother. I thought he was going to get lots of screen time, but it makes sense that in the day and age which Queen Charlotte takes place, he's not getting a lot of screen time because he's the family who's giving Charlotte over to George, and then I don't want to say he washes his hands clean of her, but after that it's like, there's no point in me being here. And so he does have a little thing with Lady Danbury after her husband dies, and I thought that was cute. But I was like, they said something where Lady Danbury in the future, I guess in the present day for Bridgerton where we're at, because this season, although it's not season 3 of Bridgerton, it's like season 2.5, even though it's its own show, because it follows plot lines of the older women being Queen Charlotte, Lady Danbury, and the Dowager Viscountess Violet. See, I got the titles correct, but they follow them on their little plot lines and different things. So yeah, so Lady Danbury in present day said something to Violet, the Dowager Viscountess, and it was like, oh, I used to talk to the Queen's brother. And because Violet was surprised, it was like, okay, so I know nothing happened between them. So it was just like, you played your hand, or you showed your hand too early. Like, I wanted to know, what if? It was just like, oh, okay. So Lady Danbury never did get with Adolphus. He was cute. He was there. He was supportive. But also was like, what more can you do? He was just, I don't want to say there to be bitched around by Britain, but that's kind of what it was. It was like, we need support in our home country. So I'm going to barter you off, basically. Charlotte could have did worse. And it always amazes me that in these shows, like, because Daphne and, what's his face? Oh my gosh. Daphne and Simon weren't in love at first, but it was like, oh, you put her in a compromising position, and then it was like, oh, well, now we're in love. And it wows me that everybody who gets into arranged marriages in these situations just falls in love later. I guess when you're in a marriage that you can't leave, because at the time I don't think divorce was allowed. It was like, oh, okay, I guess you force yourself to love them. But yeah, Adolphus didn't do much. I wanted to see more of him and Lady Danbury, but the show just snatched it up real quick and said that's not going to happen. Next, the Dowager Princess Augusta, I believe is her name. This is George's mother. The person who plays her, I was like, oh my gosh, you were in Game of Thrones. I know you. She did an amazing job. All these actors and actresses did an amazing job, like really getting me into the show, because I watched it all in a singular day, because I watched the shows twice before I talk about that. So I watch it first for just first time enjoyment, and then I watch it a second time and I take notes so I can come and talk to you guys about it. But the princess, she was a very bitchy yet enjoyable person. It was like, oh, okay, we're not supposed to like you, but also we do kind of like you, because we know that everything that you're doing is for your son and the best interest of him. So you're a family woman. She's giving what Cersei gave in Game of Thrones. It was like, we really don't like you and your tactics, but we like your motives. So Princess Augusta, not really a big player in the show. I liked her back and forth with Lady Danbury. I thought that was something interesting, giving me like power plays, and I love that. I love that in my shows. Next, Brimsley, a real OG, come to the front. There's a king in this show, but this is my king. Brimsley, A-okay with me. Like, he wasn't anything special in Bridgerton. It was just kind of, he was there, a person who's always like following the queen. But here, he was just so sweet, and seeing him fleshed out and getting his love and whatnot, I was just like, oh. And then it was sad to see him dancing alone. I was like, what happened to the other guy? Like, I don't know if they're planning to make a season 2. I guess that they are, because Bridgerton has become one of the most highest grossing, like, intellectual properties for Netflix. And so because they have the original Bridgerton series, they have the spinoff, they have the Queen's experience or whatnot. They just have a lot of things going on. And so I think that they are going to do a second season. And I hope we find out what happens to Brimsley's love. I want more on him. If they do another spinoff, which I don't think they will, but if they do, Brimsley and his love interest, I want it. Thank you. They were who I was looking at. I was like, yes, I would like more on them. They were the cute couple in the background. I personally liked them better for a majority of the show than Queen Charlotte and George. I was like, yeah, Queen Charlotte and George are cool and whatnot, but Brimsley and Reynolds, Lord Bute. It's Lord B for a reason, because it was Lord Bitches a lot. I just did not like this man, and I don't think we were supposed to like him. He was just the voice of the old times. We're going to get into the big experiment that they were talking about in the show. But Lord Bute was just there to be the op of everybody's happiness, for real. Like, and I guess that's what, I don't want to say that's what royal advisors are. Like, they work for the welfare of the country rather than the monarchs. But he was just so very annoying, and I could definitely do with less of him. Next, Cora. Cora is, I think, the handsmaid to Lady Danbury. She is very witty, very funny. Lady Danbury came at her sideways a couple times, and I was like, you're not about to do that to my girl, because Cora, every time Lord Danbury and his crusty, crony, worm-filled dick wanted to get inside Lady Danbury, Cora was there with the bath, like, we gonna get you nice and clean and whatnot. She was just like, oh, you having sneaky links with Lord Ledger? Oh, well, this cloak can be used as a blanket. She was there. She was A1, day one, ride or die. Like, Cora deserved more. And I hope she gets with Adolphus. I hope she gets to live her life out in luxury, because she was amazing. Next, Lord Danbury. I have some complex thoughts on Lord Danbury. He was the darkest person in the show, but he was one of the people who annoyed me the most. At least with, the Princess Dowager, I could see her motives and be like, okay. But he was just an old man who was very self-righteous. I did not like Lord Danbury. Did he make me laugh sometimes? Not more than I wanted to fast forward him humping and thumping on top of Lady Agatha Danbury, and it was not good. I don't know. He just was a comedic, I can't say comedic relief because he wasn't funny, but they just played him for laughs, and I just wanted more, because it was like, that's the dark skin representation that we're getting. Because don't get me wrong, the person who plays Lady Danbury, she is unambiguously black, but it was like, Lord Danbury is the darkest person in the show. Like, he is, like, no question about it. And just to see him portrayed like that, it was like, damn, can we not get good black love in this show? When I was sitting there watching the show, and I was just thinking, I was like, Shonda Rhimes, I would say, needs to get with Kenya Barris, but they are two people who are just so down for this world that they see nothing else, because they're only uplifting positive interracial relationships. And it was just like, I would like to see some nice black love from you guys. And there was no nice black love. Like, Lady Danbury did not love Lord Danbury. She tolerated him. She was groomed to be the perfect wife for him, but she did not love him. And I was just like, I would like to see some black love, Shonda. Some positive black love, please. Please, Shonda. I don't even want to say I'm begging you, because I'm not going to beg you for anything, but it was just like, Shonda, really? Next, Lady Danbury. An OG stand up. The lady who plays Lady Danbury in present day, her eyebrows are just very rounded, and they didn't do that for younger Lady Danbury. I don't know if that comes with age. Who knows? But Lady Danbury, younger Lady Danbury, because we're talking about the younger versions of these people, 8 down. I'm going to put the actress on the screen somewhere. Do not remember her name right now, but very gorgeous, very talented. I need to see her in more things, and if she has been in more things before this, I need to get into them, because she got into this role. She is the square root of 64 because she 8 down. Just everything about her. She was very assertive. She was witty. She was funny. I was just like, I don't know why everyone thought we needed to learn more about Queen Charlotte when the main character is standing in front of us. Lady Danbury, she was funny and witty in the present day too. We're going to talk about the present day people after we talk about the main characters for the flashbacks. I don't know if it would be considered flashback, since this show is, set in that time or back then. But yeah, Lady Danbury, 8 down. Actress, 8 down. It was just all her clothing, all her looks, everything. When she started sobbing, my heart was hurting. She was doing everything. She was carrying everybody on her back. All those black people who showed up to her house and was like, hey girl, I know your husband died, but we need to get back to business. And she did. Like, Lady Danbury deserves more. And I was so sad to see that she didn't get a loving and caring spouse. Okay, I'm back. Somebody FaceTimed me and my phone stopped recording, but we are going to finish out these characters. So next we have George. George is very charismatic and caring, but also very guarded because of his mental illness. I'm not sure if it's actually a mental illness or just a physical illness that is impacting him mentally, but basically he's very guarded from Charlotte at first. You know, he's very caring and suave and whatnot, and caring about how she feels. And he kind of not stopped caring about how she feels, but stopped trying to see things from her point of view later in the series. And I just think that it was a little hurtful. We got to see one episode from like his point of view, which I loved, but also it was just very lackluster. It was seeing things happen to him, not seeing him being in control. And I guess that was how it was supposed to be, because the illness that he is facing is, you know, taking control of him. But it was just like, I don't know, it was just watching him get tortured, and it was very hard. The person who plays George, like I said, very charismatic, very handsome and whatnot. I just would have liked to see more character development from him. Like, it was just always him hiding, and I just wanted to see him come out more. And also, when we talk about George, we could talk about present day George right now, because there wasn't really much to talk about him, because we didn't get to see him until like the very last episode, where Charlotte went to go tell him some news, and it was just like, oh, okay, I would love to see more of how they coexist and live with George being so far into the illness. Like, it's overtaken his life basically, and he's in a constant state of, I don't want to say delusion, but that feels like the best thing to say. He's in this constant state of delusion, you know, saying he's Farmer George and seeing Venus and whatnot. And it's really sad to see at his older age, especially because he's so secluded from everybody, like no one looks at him. We didn't get to see how George being in that state impacted his children and how they grew up, because they know their mother barely, because they were talking about how the mother, you know, was always a queen to them but never a mother. So it was just, how do they feel about George? Would have loved to see that, and I guess they might delve deeper into that for season 2, because I do believe that there will be a season 2. Next, Reynolds. Reynolds is the other half of my heart. Him and Brimsley were very cute together. It was nice to see that there wasn't just rivalry, because at first I was like, but then I was like, oh yeah, no, they're definitely together. And they were very cute together. They spoke to each other, even though sometimes there was like miscommunications and they were angry at each other. They always found their way back to each other, and I just think that that was very cute. I think that at certain points in the show, I was rooting / shipping them harder than Charlotte and George. Charlotte and George, it was just like, have a conversation with each other. Like, come on. Brimsley and Reynolds, they were like constantly talking to each other, and although it wasn't like always giving the satisfactory answer that they want, they were talking to each other and being mature adults. And I was like, yes, Shonda was never going to give us good Black representation, but at least she's giving us good LGBTQIA plus representation in her show, and I'm appreciative of that. Yeah, so those are all the characters that I thought were important, and now we are going to get into the styling. So Charlotte's styling was so beautiful, present day, and like the, I guess, present day for Bridgerton, like the older Charlotte and the younger Charlotte. The styling for both of them was very beautiful. You can see how the styles have changed, because before, like I said, they have like the corsetry and whatnot that goes all the way down, but then towards the older Charlotte, you can see that the empire waistline is coming in, and how people are styled differently with that. The hair with Charlotte, I'm going to see if I can find one of my favorite things. She has this updo, which is why my hair is in an updo, and she has braids, and it's very big and it's very beautiful, and it's a beautiful black take on the traditional. I don't know if this is the Baroque period. I'm not a history major, not a fashion person either, but I will look at what period of dress this is and say it is very a beautiful black interpretation of it on the person who plays the older Queen Charlotte. And then for the younger Queen Charlotte, you can see the assimilation basically of her old style of dress and how she gets put into these new dresses for the new English way of life that she's living in. They show different things to her hair, which I like to get, like the curls. They put like little paper curlers in there, which was very cute, and just having stuff like a wrap around her hair when they were doing that. I was like, okay, come on, protective hairstyles for night. The only time that they didn't do that was when she was going to go get to consummate with George. I'm a smaller YouTuber, so I don't think YouTube's going to like content flag what I'm saying, but also just in case, to consummate the marriage with him, she did not have like a protective hairstyle. The jewelry was very gorgeous. You can see that the earrings, I believe, the necklaces change, but the earrings, I'm not wearing any earrings, don't judge me, I couldn't find any earrings to go with this, but the earrings were basically the same. And I think that it's nice to show that the longevity of her fashion and just things that she keeps with her, as well as things that are changing. Princess Augusta, I liked her dresses. I thought they were very cute. I think that the background people were nice too. I think that Princess Augusta, she did show more décolletage, more cleavage, if you will, and I think that she looked great. I think that the colors that they had on her suited her a lot. I know that the Bridgerton people usually do certain colors for certain houses. So there's the Bridgerton blue. I forgot what the Sharmas wore, but I know that they had like rosier jewelry. I know the Featheringtons are like yellows, and so when Penelope and Colin get together, it's going to be the yellow plus the blue to get like a turquoise, or like, I don't know. But if there was that in the show, I didn't notice it. I'm watching it, like I said, I watched it twice and I didn't notice that, but obviously I'm not a fashion person, so maybe I overstepped that, or I overlooked that. Lady Danbury. Someone needs to look at Lady Danbury's outfits and whatnot, because every time she was on the screen, she was the best dressed person in the room. Best dressed person in the room. And it was like, I guess the queen has to be more conservative because of her stature and her position, but it was like the queen, she looks nice. But you know what Nicki Minaj said, why would you want to look simple when you can look stunning? And Lady Agatha Danbury looked stunning. The wedding outfit, stunning. The outfit that she wore to go to get tea with the queen, stunning. The outfit that she wore when, what was it? My goodness, I don't know. But when she ran into, when Violet was like waving at her at the event, she looked stunning. Yellow is her color, and I'm glad that they put a black person in yellow, because sometimes they like shy away from it because they're like, oh, well, yellow's a too bright of a color. No, put us in yellow. We look great. Violet, I didn't say anything about the Dowager Viscountess. She was in the show, but she was like a younger person, so it was nice to see I guess, the age differences between everybody, because obviously in Bridgerton you can tell that Lady Danbury's the oldest, and then the Queen, and then Violet, Dowager Viscountess. But it was like, okay, how much older are they? And then you could see that Agatha was like a whole maybe 25 years old when Violet wasn't even out to society. So it was like, okay, I like to see that they all mesh and mingle in the real life, even though they're at different stages of their life. Very cute. And I think that is all with the styling. I will put pictures, hopefully, if I can find some. I know that I can't put videos because they be quick with the copyright claim. They be quick with it. They be snatching it up. I'm like, I don't even have coins for you to steal from my video. And you're like, just in case you thought you were ever gonna have any coins any day off of our work. No, and I'm like, this is fair use. I just showed it for just a little clip. But yeah, so we are going to get into the episode by episode breakdown. Like I said, everything is going to be timestamped. So if you want to watch an episode on Netflix and then come and then watch my reaction to it, you are more than welcome to do that. But yeah, we're going to get into the episode by episode breakdown right now. Episode 1. I have my notes in front of me. I'm going to be looking down because I don't remember everything. This was a 6-hour television show that I did, although I did watch it twice. I watched it, I consumed it. I was like, give it to me. So, the first thing that I wrote down was I love the 2D intro. I know that it's cheaper and I guess a better return on investment to do 3D things, but I miss and long for the days that we had 2D animation. I think that it's so beautiful. The Princess and the Frog looks so beautiful. Maui's like 2D tattoo animation looks so beautiful. I think that that was a good mix of 3D and 2D. And I wish that we could find a better way to do that, or not a better way to do that. I wish that we could continue to do that in different movies instead of, you know, the live actions. I'm going to watch the live action Little Mermaid, and I'm going to tell you guys my review about it and everything. It's going to be amazing. It's this month. Really excited for that. But I long for the days of 2Ds, and so I like that they did a 2D intro. Next, I already talked about it. I said, if they're German, why do they sound British? And after that, Charlotte goes on like a rant about whalebone corsets, and from what I could find, they weren't as delicate as she made, or sharp as she made them out to be in the show, but there are usually myths around corsets. I will put in some videos by different people. I think Mina Lee, very cute creator, she did a video talking about Bridgerton, and because in, was it season 1, I think, that they had tight lacing, but it was like, why do you have tight lacing if you're wearing an empire waistline? Like, it's just right here and everything else is flowing. You don't need tight lacing for that. And then there are other people. I'm going to put resources about the myths about corsetting and put that on the screen and in the description so we can talk about that. But yeah, I looked it up and it said that it was just like the boning in there, but it necessarily wasn't sharp. Next, the Queen seems to have little sympathy for her granddaughter dying, so the show flips between present day Bridgerton as we know it in the main series, and then the Queen Charlotte back in the days. And so they have the Queen looking for an heir in like the present day, I guess the flash forward. And it was just like her granddaughter died, but she was just like, sorrows, sorrows, prayers, prayers. And I was like, okay, but don't you care? Like, you're going so hard in the paint for everybody to like produce you an heir, and you want to continue George's line, but you don't care that the person who was carrying your heir died. It was just like, I don't know what you want from me. I said the styling of the outfits and the hair is everything, because it was everything. It was very beautiful, very well done, but the Bridgerton people have always kind of killed it when it came to the outfits and whatnot. They're not trying to be historically accurate. They're trying to build character, and I think that they do something similar to what Euphoria does. But the reason why we're not going around wearing Bridgerton wear is just because it's not as accessible to us as or accessible and acceptable as like the Y2K type of grunge look from Euphoria was. But when Charlotte meets the princess and Brimsley, I was like, oh, Brimsley is so adorable, and he was adorable from the beginning. I was just like, you deserve everything, my little cinnamon roll. I hope the world is kind to you. And it was sad to see that he wasn't like married or anything, but it was like, obviously they're not going to let him marry because he's gay. But it was just like, where is Reynolds? Where is he at? I need to find out. I need answers. And so, like I said, season two, I'll be waiting. We'll get season 3 of Bridgerton and then season 2 of this. I said the council talking about how brown Charlotte is and deciding what to do sounds like some white shit. They were just like, oh, she's very brown. And it was like, well, I don't want to say didn't you guys know what she looked like. It was like, you saw her, you presumably saw her brother. You saw other people from where she was. It was just like, side eye. I learned that this sign language is just side eye, and I think that's so funny. But yeah, it sounded like some white shit. I was just like, what are you going to do? I said the montage of black people getting the invitation sent me. It was just like, oh, since the queen's kind of black, I think we should invite some black people. And it was just like, and so they went out and it was just like, here, black person, you're invited to the picnic. And it was just like, and of course all the black people went because it's the Queen of England telling you, you know, well, not the Queen, I guess the King of England who's inviting you to his wedding. So of course you're gonna come. But it was just like petty handouts. Watching Lord Danbury and Lady Danbury have sex was very painful to me, and they put that in the show so many times. I know it was the bed squeaking, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was Agatha's dry coochie from that terrible sex. I know there was no foreplay, there was nothing, and it was just, and it was just, she said it was painful, and I believe it. I was like, giving black people titles at the wedding is wild. Just going up to them and being like, oh yes, you know, you're a member of the ton now. It was just like, come on. You definitely knew that the queen was black or mixed or something, and you definitely could have did this in advance. It was giving crumbs. I said the meet cute is cuting. It was adorable, and I was sad that they kind of showed us that in the promos, but I guess it was something that was going to get people appealed to it. But I don't know, it was very cute. I'm saying very cute as she's trying to jump over a wall so she doesn't have to meet George, but it was just like, okay, him, you know, being like, well, what do you want to know about me, and them just getting to know each other. I think that I've never seen an arranged marriage, but I would like to think that if it's an arranged marriage where they're seeing each other on the day of the wedding, that they would at least get to like see each other before they walk down the aisle. I think that was very cute and very special. So yeah. What did I say? Agatha putting together why the black people got their titles directly after looking at Charlotte is why she's an HBIC, because this woman is just quick with it. She's like, oh, this is making sense. You gave us the titles because the queen's black. You're trying to make sure that you don't look bad and you don't look racist. Well, you are. And so it was just like, okay. That was the absolute moment where I was like, we gotta stand Lady Danbury. She was amazing in the first season. Not the first season. She was amazing in Bridgerton, but now we gotta stand young Agatha. When they were talking about, where she was like, you know, it's our marriage night, because they go to Buckingham House, and he's like, this is your house, and I'm gonna stay in Kew. And she's like, what? You're gonna stay in Kew, but I'm gonna stay in Buckingham House? And he was like, yes. And it was just like, but oh, you know, this is our wedding night. You're supposed to perform our marital duties. And he's like, you want me to perform my marital duties? I'm like, yeah, slang that marital duties. Like, this is what we came here for. And he just marched to the bedroom, and she was like, did I do something wrong? And he was just like, you wanted me to perform, so I'm about to put on a show and everything. It was hilarious to me. I know I shouldn't have been laughing, but I was laughing when that happened. And then we flash back to the present day where Charlotte is summoning her kids, and she's like, are they sober? And Brimsley's like, listen, I don't know if I should be the one to say it. And she's like, it's not even 11 a.m. And basically, she's like, you guys have produced a record amount of illegitimate whore babies. That's what she said. She said whore babies. And the scream that I screamed when I screamed, Martin Luther King said, I have a scream, and I too had a scream in my heart. And then when she was telling the daughter, she was like, I have drawn pictures for you to make sure that you put it in the right place. Like, I was just like, I know this seems really inappropriate to ask, but I'm going to be the one to ask it. Was there lube back in the day? Like, for you to be doing anal with presumably no lube back in the 1800s sounds wild. That sounds painful. Yeah, I was screaming and rolling, and that's where the episode ended. So yeah, I thought that the first episode, I thought it was intriguing. Obviously, when you do a new series, you have to set up a lot of stuff, and so you don't really get into a lot of the stories and character development. It's just, here's what we know. I was just like, okay. There wasn't a lot of racism. I thought that there was going to be more, but it was just like, oh, she's very brown, and it was just from the Princess Dowager. I was just like, is nobody else going to like gawk and because they would do that for the Featheringtons in the original Bridgerton series, and it was just like, do you guys not feel some type of way about this lady being black? Like, obviously you do, because black people had never had titles, but it was just like, they didn't really do anything with it. And I was just like, okay, we get that she's the first of her kind, but it was just like, what were black people doing in this society before? Because were they slaves? What, like, they didn't really touch upon that. And I thought, you know, they're like, oh, this is just fictional stuff, enjoy it. And it's like, okay, I can enjoy it, but also the implications that you guys are setting. Like, you decided to make race something in here. You could have just went along like Hamilton and, you know, had the people playing people of different races, but not mention that it was different races. But then they were like, oh, you're the first of your kind, you know, you're black, you know what this means. They're not people like us and people like them. And it was just like, why would you say anything if you weren't actually going to put thought into the implications of what this means? And so that's that's episode 1 and my thoughts of it. Episode 2. So the Great Experiment is what it's called when the blacks and the whites like commingle together, when they integrate the black people into white society. Is Queen Charlotte being black what brought on the Great Experiment? Is that what it is? Because I was very confused about it. I was like, okay, so did they start the Great Experiment and then Queen Charlotte being black was a side effect of that? Or was I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Was the Great Experiment what brought Charlotte into this white society? I didn't know, and Shonda Rhimes did not care to tell me. I said, so racism just left with Agatha, Lady Danbury's lifespan. I know it's fiction, but come on now. Come on. I was just sitting there and I was like, how is it that Lady Danbury is one of the first black people to be integrated into this white society? And you guys are like, oh yeah, we're cool with them now. What? I know it's fiction, but I guess they sped up the process along a lot, because even now in real life, I don't know when black and whites were integrated. I'll put it on the screen. But it was just like, to this day, white people still don't like black people in society, and no one says any snide remarks about Lady Danbury. I don't know if it's because she has money, because she knows everything, or if it's just this certain place in the time. But I was just like, come on, this is so unrealistic. But again, at the beginning they put, this is fiction, so you guys need to enjoy it. And it was like, okay, just say you're not going to seriously address the topic of race. But anyways, them running. So the queen, Brimsley's following her 5 paces behind, and she starts running to see if he's going to start running, and he starts running too. I was screaming, rolling on the floor. Next, they show a clip of the queen's children when she like summons them and everything, and I was just like, these are a lot of white faces. Now, I'm not sure if the person who plays Queen Charlotte is mixed or a light-skinned black person on the lighter side, but I was just sitting there and I was just thinking, and I was like, shouldn't the kids have more Negro features? Like, a lot of them were just white, and I was like, I guess that's how genetics work. Sometimes they favor more of the dad and they just look white even though they have a black parent. But it was like, usually Negroes have like strong noses, and I thought that there would be more black people who were her children. So I guess that was my mistake for assuming. The jeweler on Bridgerton is always, I don't know who they are. If I can find who they are, I'll put it on the screen. But they do such an amazing job with the jewelry in Bridgerton. Next, the warm-up bit told me everything that I needed to know. So Reynolds and Brimsley are talking to each other, and he's like, would you like to come in and warm up a bit? And I'm like, oh, y'all are definitely fucking. I'm sorry, I don't know if I can say that, but y'all are definitely getting it on. Yeah, screaming, so happy to have some gay representation in the show. Definitely cute, because there is no gay representation. Is there? I think there is some gay representation in Bridgerton. I don't think it's the best, or because if it were, I feel like I would remember it more. I think one of the Bridgerton sons was like bi-curious or just curious and taking some dick, so there was that. But I was glad to see a genuine like gay romance in the forefront. So that was great. That was amazing. I love that, and I love them. The observatory fight. So Shonda Rhimes, I was editing the video, and so this is me after I've edited like the first little half of the video, and I noticed that Shonda Rhimes is also a writer for Grey's Anatomy. I don't know how I forgot that, because she definitely had beef with oh my gosh, what is the girl's name who plays Izzy? They had beef with each other. It was Katherine Heigl. There we go. She did not like her momager. She had beef with Patrick Dempsey because he was doing a whole bunch of stuff that he plays McDreamy. But anyway, Shonda Rhimes is a writer for Grey's Anatomy, and she wrote the infamous pick me, or she was a part of the infamous pick me, choose me speech. I'm going to insert a clip of it right here.
So pick me, choose me, love me.
Okay, now you're back with me, and I feel like she used this observatory fight to kind of try to recreate the pick me, choose me, but there's no way you can recreate it. It was fight with me, fight for me, and it felt like she was trying to do another pick me, choose me, and it was like, Shonda, that was iconic. You can't make magic twice like that. It's like Emma Chamberlain and Jack Harlow. Like the first time they did their interview, it was funny, and it was just like, oh, when he was like, love you, and she was just like, and now it's like when they did the interview the second time, it was like, well, you can't try to recreate that or, do something to top that, because you're putting that pressure on yourself, and it's not going to work. So I just thought it was giving B- to pick me, choose me, but it's fine. Next, I said Brimsley and Reynolds are adorable together. They were very adorable. I was just like, give me more of this. And they gave us quite a bit of it, honestly. But I was like, I would like more of this. Instead of having Lord Danbury and that creaky bed where he just be flopping and hopping on top of Lady Danbury, I was like, give me more of Brimsley and Reynolds. See, here we go. The faces and sound of Lord Danbury is enough to make me want a bath. Just sitting there listening to him have sex, it was just awful. It made me look up if there was lube back in the days, and apparently there were like seaweed like excretion to make like a gelatinous substance to make lube. So he should have gotten to that. I said, I hate this girl's hairline. It evokes an unplucked wig. And that was just the younger Queen Charlotte. A lot of the hairlines looked very unnatural. And like I said, I'm not sure if it's her natural hairline. It was just something that bothered me. I was just like, oh, just a little baby hairs or something. Not even just like, not even laid baby hairs, but just a little baby hair. That scared the hell out of me. I don't know if you guys heard that, but that was my mom. She's reading my brother's bedtime story. Next, I said everything Lady Danbury has been in has been a look, and it has. The drawings of the consummation made me chuckle. They were all different positions and whatnot, and it was just like, obviously this woman has consummated, but it just showed like that it's been terrible for her. She was like, it's been awful, it's never been pleasurable. I was like, damn, that sucks. Like, when she got stuck with the old man, and old man, my mom told me they have worms. No offense to the people who are old if you're watching this, but it was just like old men who go after younger girls. Leonardo. It's weird. Next, I said, I love the Queen Dowager Viscountess and Lady Danbury's friendship. When they're all sitting there talking over tea, it was just like kikiing with the girls, and I love that. I love that. I love girl friendship, and I don't think that we got a lot of it in Bridgerton, the original series. We didn't get a lot of them together, but also we didn't get a lot of like friendships for real besides Penelope and what is her name? I don't even remember the other girl's name, but everybody likes her. She's the, you know, the broody, moody one. Where I'm not like other girls, her, but them two were like friends, but then they had the whole falling out. And I just think that I love having some good girl friendships. And yeah. I said, it sucks that Lord Danbury is the darkest person and is such a douche. Like, he'll sit there and Lady Danbury was like, yeah, I think this is gonna be, and he was like, hush, lady. I was just like, I really don't like you, Lord Danbury, and I don't know. I feel like did Shonda do it on purpose? Did Shonda give us a dark-skinned black man and treat him like this on purpose? I want to say yes, because she treats the white people so well. Anyways, I said Lady Danbury had wits, and I'm glad she advocated for what she wanted. She was like, you were not going to steamroll over me, and I appreciated that. George and Charlotte looking at the stars gave Princess and the Frog. When they were looking at the stars in the observatory, I was just like, oh, you know, I love the Princess and the Frog. Maybe like I'll do a reaction or something on here to it. But it was just like, oh, very cute. And they didn't have Ray. Well, I mean, Ray was cute at some times, but he was kind of annoying. So I was just glad that they had this nice moment just staring up at the stars and looking at each other, and it was just very cute. I put insert your favorite Martian butt store song.
Booty. 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 This store sells booty.
Because during those sex scenes, it was just so funny seeing like the back part of George. I don't know if he got paid more for that, but it was just like slack. I'm sorry. What did I say? I said, what are the old days? Was there slavery in this time? Like, okay, Lady Danbury was from Sierra Leone, so I'm not sure what the slave trade was like in Sierra Leone, but I'm like, were these people connected to slaves in any ways? Like, was there slavery in this time? They just kind of gloss over it, which I guess you definitely would, but it was just like, there are implications when you have people of high standings in society at this time. So, okay. I said, I hate the misheard trope. Like, a simple conversation of the contentment and misery comment would have fixed things. Where it was just like, okay, obviously it sounds bad when he's like, yeah, I wifed her, I vetted her for the contentment or misery of this nation. And it was just like, oh, so that's the only reason why you did that with me? And it was just like, have a conversation. He was just saying that he can't really choose things in his life, and she keeps like throwing it in his face, and it's like, but did you guys seriously have a conversation? They don't have a conversation until she's like, I mean, I understand it now. And it's like, well, yay, I guess, but I wish you guys had just had a conversation. Have a conversation. You guys just keep, oh, this, that, I overheard this and that, and I was just like, have a conversation. I said they need to fully learn how to close doors if they're trying to hide George being sick. It was like, Charlotte will never know. But it was like, the door was wide open. What if she had been overhearing this, like she overheard the misery and contentment of the nation little thing? Learn how to close doors. All right, and now we are on episode 3. I said, Brimsley asking Reynolds if he had another man was so secretive and smooth. He was like, I mean, is there another rider? And I was just like, I said, young Violet is like a little kid who told you that their dad stole their shoes from Walmart. She was just like, Daddy, I don't understand why Mommy doesn't think that we're just as good, or that the black people aren't as good as us, because we have this and we have that and we have that. And she just kept talking and talking and talking. And it was cute, but it was also like, my daddy stole these shoes. He be beating on my mommy. And you're just like, oh, what? Really? That's what it was giving. When she was telling her, what is it? Her lady in waiting? Her nanny. When she was telling her nanny that she was like, yeah, mommy says this. And it was just like, oh. Gasp. Like, I don't know if in the olden days it was just like, keep our business, the house's business in the house. Violet was about to go tell everybody. I said, Violet's mom is a racist and her dad is a hoot. Lady Ledger was so annoying, and I'm glad that she wasn't in this more. Lord Ledger is, and he was definitely a hoot and a half. Like, he disdained his wife, and it was just like, it sucks that you guys get like paired together and you don't like them, but I guess that's what the olden days are. I said, they are enjoying the hell out of these even days. It was just like, today's an even day. And it was just like, bam, bam, bam. And I was just like, whoa. Like, people who be hating each other, or they're like, oh, we hate each other, be getting it in the most. Like, I saw this thing on Twitter where the girl was like, it was like a paragraph. And he was like, oh, you know, can we still see each other? Like, can we still fornicate with each other? And it was just like, she put, oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. I don't care if we F, but I'm gonna block you later. It was like, those people be getting it in. They be, oh my gosh, I'm gonna find that video of the Derek Jackson parody and put it in here. He was like knocking ankles loose and something. I'm gonna put it in here. That's my reaction.
Been out here knocking ankles loose, throttling anything that's moving, sucking toes, licking ass, swallowing it's been crazy.
Because that's what was happening. I said the show's lighting sometimes gave Game of Thrones. It was like season 8 Game of Thrones. It was so dark. I could not see anything. I had my brightness all the way up. I was in a dark room. I was like trying to see some things and I just could not. I was like, I guess this is perfect for back in the days, because they only had like those little lanterns that you had to have a candle in and whatnot. But I was just like, I can't see a god dang thing. So when they were fornicating on the table, I was just like, in front of my salad. That is such an old reference, but I know somebody's gonna get it. I was just like, in front of my salad, like. Anyways, I said Brimsley and Reynolds' communication is way better than George and Charlotte. It was just very cute to see like them talking to each other and whatnot, and I just was like, thank you for having a wholesome relationship in here that I can root for. Because even though they had some challenges during the show, it was just like, they talked it out and they reconciled. But everybody else, it was just like, I hate your relationship for real. Like, I'm not rooting for you. I said there was a sweet moment between Lord and Lady Danbury. And basically he was like, you know, they dangle contentment in front of my face, but I'll never see it. And she doesn't like her husband, but she like holds her face and she's like, you are every bit as good as them. And I was just like, I'd love to see this. Like, I know he's older than her and we can talk about an age gap, but it was just like, it was very nice to see them be sweet to each other. So yeah, I said Lady Danbury was smart to send out the invitation for the first ball and just ask for forgiveness. It's better to ask for forgiveness sometimes than to ask for permission, because Princess Augusta definitely wasn't going to give her that. I said Charlotte needed that talking to. Lady Danbury was like, your palace walls are too high, your majesty. She's sitting here smashing her face up on the window, trying to look at George walking by, and it's like, Charlotte, I need us to find a modicum of respect for ourselves. Just a shred of dignity. Brimsley and Reynolds with that handhold. They were just like reaching out, and I was like, take his hand, and he did. I was like, oh, I know there are other gay people in this. I want a story about how they came to be. I need that. I need you to write it out. Julia Quinn, get on that. Shonda, both of you guys can do it together if you would like to, but I need more on that. Said the ball gives middle school dance. The ball that they had was the first ball of the season. Lady Danbury threw it, and it was just whites over here, blacks over here, and it was just like mesh, mingle, do something, and they didn't. And I was glad that Charlotte and King George came, and then everybody was like, oh, we can mingle and mesh together. Black people can be with white people. It was like, okay, yeah, let's do that. I said Lord Danbury dying during sex was low-key sad. Like, I know we didn't like him, but I was like, can we give him some dignity? Some dignity. He was just sprawled out on the floor in his, like, nightgown moo-moo thing, and it was just like, I know Shonda gets down with the swirl. There's nothing wrong with getting down with the swirl, but there's something when you just have, like, a level of disrespect for black men, and that's what it felt like. It was just like, do you not like them? For the only one that we see, the prominent black male, to be treated like this, it was stupid. So yeah, R.I.P. Lord Danbury, and I wish I had liked him more. I wish they had done something more with his character. And I said, I wish Lady Danbury had a better life, because I do. I wish she didn't have to be stuck with a man who she didn't like. I wish he had been like a gracious person at least. Like, I wish we had seen more of the sweet moments in between the other moments where he was telling her hush and trying to breed her like a horse. I said Reynolds was so sweet with Brimsley and George. Like, when he was sitting there and he just reached out to George and like calmed him, I was like, see, this is so sweet, because we see a lot of Brimsley with the Queen and their relationship, but we don't get to see a lot of George and Reynolds' relationship. And so I thought that it was cute to see them just that touch. I said Charlotte was very kind with George when he was calling out for Venus, and even though she didn't know what was happening, he was in the garden, he's butt naked, and he's like, Venus, I'm calling out to you, I'm here. And she was like, Farmer George, and she just calmed him down like a frightened horse. I don't know if it's kind to, refer to a person who's going through mental delusions as a frightened horse, but that's just something to liken it to, not calling him a horse. But it was just like, she was very sweet with him and got him back to a neutral place, and I enjoyed that. Episode 4. I'm trying to get through these pretty quickly because I know this video is going to be very long. So I said, I want to know how long George has had this illness. They talk about it being his whole life, but I'm like, what did you guys do when he was a child? There was just a lot of George's perspective missing. Yeah, a lot of it. And I said, all the doctors sound like they're full of shit. All the ones who were just like, oh, well, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to feed him some cabbage stew, we need to have him hop around on his leg and, pat his stomach. Rub your stomach and pat your head? It was just like, okay, stupid shit. I said, I think the episode from George's point of view felt kind of lazy. It just felt like they were trying to reuse all the shots that they had before, like they were on a budget or something. And I'm like, I know you're not on a budget. This is Netflix. This is Shonda Rhimes. You have the money. Give me production. And I just didn't do that. Also, Deja Vu, Warriors Rise Up, one of my favorite Beyonce songs. They had it in here, and I was like, yes, thank you. I need this. I will be bopping to the classical version of Deja Vu while I read my novels. As you can see, I have a lot of books behind me, and I listen to classical music when I read the books, and I think that this Deja Vu thing, it's going to do me right. Deja Vu is one of her best songs and one of her best performances. I'm going to insert a clip of the performance right here because delicious. Delicious. Next, I said Monroe is a mad doctor, and this is what people think psychology is. He said, just like an animal, I shall break you. And it was just like, y'all just be letting anything happen. And it was like, oh, okay, well, we need more like cutting edge of science And it was just like, you guys are doing all of this to do what? Because obviously George hasn't been getting better. Like, you guys have been treating him since he was a kid and he's not getting better. So obviously this is something that is just not going to happen. You need to figure out how to remedy it when it happens. But yeah, Monroe, I didn't like him, and I hope he gets trampled. Like, he was still alive when the show ended, and I was just like, boo, if anyone had died, it shouldn't have been Lord Danbury, it should have been Monroe. Next. It was just so wild to me that they would rather torture him and just see him gasping for the brims of life. And I was just like, is this worse than him sometimes, you know, having delusions? Is it? Next, I said it's giving Satisfied when they just rewind the whole thing and show it from George's point of view. I was like, rewind. I remember that night. Shout out to my Hamill stands. Next, I said that touch that Reynolds gives George. They do a lot of like light touching with like hand holding and whatnot, and just embracing. And this is what when people say that their form of love, their love language is physical touch, this is what they're talking about. These like these small warm embraces that they have, these small touches. I'm glad he fired Dr. Monroe just sucks ass. Like, he didn't do anything. He one time got him out of the spell, and every time after that it was just like torturing him while he was okay. It was like, why not study him instead of just putting him through these tortures? Just study him to see what triggers the states of delusion, like when it does. What is it called? Not delusion, but I'm going to figure out the name later, and I'm going to put it on the screen because it's killing me right now. But I guess right now we'll just... disassociations, that's what it is. He's like disassociating. There we go. And I feel like, why not study to see what's causing the disassociation when that happens, versus just putting him through torture. All right, we are on episode 5. We are almost near the end. So this episode started out slow. You have 6 episodes, which is only 6 hours. It's not that long, but it was just like, this is dragging. I said the Black gathering at Agatha's was quick, and they came with some valid points. It was something that I wouldn't have thought of. They got quick to it, where they were like, the line of succession, like, does Lord Danbury, the title, transfer down to your son? And I was like, you know what, that is a great question. I didn't think about that. It was like, I don't know if they read the papers, and the papers specifically was like, it's for this living person right here. But it was like, y'all were smart for thinking about that. I said the painting being lighter than Charlotte is wild because she is already light-skinned. Like, the person who plays Queen Charlotte, like I said, I'm not sure if they're mixed or just a light-skinned black person, but they are of lighter skin. And it was like, no, we need her paler. And it was just like, you don't think the other portraits that, you know, or the people who are looking at her aren't going to accurately be able to see that she's black? Or like the amount of pigmentation she has in her skin. It was stupid. Princess Augusta, didn't like her. Next, I said Brimsley opening the letter was beyond smart. Definitely beyond smart. He like took a butter knife and was like, slice. And then he read the letter, and then he sealed it back up. And I was like, see, smart, big brain. This is why we like you. But then he goes to Reynolds and he's like, hey, the Queen's writing to her brother saying that she no longer wants to be here. And, you know, I could fail to post this, you know, if something happens with the king, he just shows up, life gets better. And it's like, no, life's not going to get better, because Reynolds has been trying to help the king. Like, you see when he's getting tortured, he's been trying to help him, but he can't do much. And so he's just like, no, post it. And I feel bad for Reynolds because he's trying, but he just can't do anything. You just don't have that much power. Next I said Lord Ledger isn't cute in a physical way, but he's very caring. So, like I said, Lord Danbury has died, and Lady Danbury decides she wants solitude, so she goes out on her own on her estate to go on a walk, and her and Lord Ledger stay abut, and which means they're right next to each other. And she ends up talking to him, and it was very sweet. It was like, oh, you know, I just go out to avoid my wife, and she's like screaming. But yeah, I said, now we flash back to present day, where I'm like, I thought that there was an age requirement for the royals to marry. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll put it on the screen, like the average age for royals to marry. But I was just like, isn't there something forcing y'all to marry? Or can you guys just be, spinsters? And I don't know what the male version of a spinster is, but I guess there isn't. I said, Lady Danbury and Violet together are adorable friends and confidants. So we flash back to the present where Lady Danbury and the Viscountess Dowager Violet, the Bridgerton's mom, she's sitting there and she's like, my garden is in bloom. She's thinking about, getting in a relationship with someone again. And it was just like very cute to see Lady Danbury kind of walking her through that stage of her life and like listening to her and being a confidant for her, because we don't really see Violet with other people. It's just her watching after her kids and her grandkids. So it was like, okay, finally she gets someone to talk to and confide in. And so I thought that was very sweet. Next I said the walks with Lord Ledger and Lady Danbury were very cute. Just them kind of walking and talking and finding themselves while also being with each other. It was very cute. So we flash back to the present, and they say that George the Fourth is the Prince Regent. So basically, he's doing the work of the king, even though the king's still alive, because it says he's not doing anything in present day. So I was just like, at what point in time did they find George not fit to rule? Wish we had seen some of that. There were a lot of gaps and everything, and a lot of gaps in logic in the show, but it's fictional again. I was just like, obviously they're setting this up for season 2. They're leaving enough to the imagination where it's like, okay, you can like try to guess, but we'll be back for another season so we can answer more of these questions. Then we go back to young Charlotte, and it said, what did Charlotte think she got traded for? Like, of course there's an alliance. When she was like, oh, I don't remember the name of their kingdom, but when her brother comes there and he's like, yeah, Great Britain is protecting our country because you're now their queen. She was like, oh, gasp. And it was just like, what did you think you got traded for? You didn't get traded for shits and giggles. Like, obviously, both parties have to get something out of this trade agreement, which was your marriage. So it was just like, okay, that's the bare minimum. Next, I said, when Agatha was explaining to her son who he was, I loved that moment. So she goes to, this is back in the days, and it's young Agatha, Lady Danbury, and she goes to the Princess Dowager Augusta, and she's like, hey, meet my son, Lord Danbury. And the Queen's like, oh, Lord but then Lord Bute stops her, and he's like, ooh, the implications of that, don't do that. Just say, hey, cute baby. So she's like, cute baby. He's like 5 or something. But anyways, he's now the man of the house because Lord Danbury died. And so it's like, okay, very cute kid. And he's like, did I do my duty? Did I tell them, did I do my duty? And Lord Danbury's like, yep, you showed them who you were. And he was like, yeah, I'm, Lord Danbury, the son of Herman Danbury. And she's like, yes, you are, but you're more than that. You are from royal blood on my side. We're from Sierra Leone and everything. And I was just like, this is so cute. A lot of black people don't know their heritage and where they come from. So it was cute to see that he knew who he was, very sure of himself. But also he got to learn of his mother's side and that he's royalty. We talk about black people being kings and queens, but it's like, no, they were actually kings and queens. And you come from royal blood, like, you put some respect on your name. Even though they, if you get a title or not is up in the air. It was just like, no, you were from royal blood. You are a king. Love that. Next, I said Lord Ledger making the birthday hat was so cute. I wish someone had made me a birthday hat. I don't really celebrate my birthday that much. It was just, it came and went this year, I'm 22. But it was just like, oh, that was such a sweet thought. Like, Lord Ledger is showing all the different love languages, and it sucks that he got with such a racist, snobby, stuck-up wife. I said screaming. Yes, he's cheating, but it's fictional, and they're also cute together. So Lord Ledger when he comes over to give Lady Danbury the birthday hat, they end up having sexual relations with each other. And it's like, if Shonda Rhimes is going to do one thing, she's going to have a black woman lay down with a white married man. I know that happened in Scandal, and I was just like I want to root for them, but also it's like, I'm not gonna call her a whore, but now it's like, you're a side piece. Like, obviously you guys can't get into a relationship together because he has a wife, and that would cause scandal and everything. But it's just like, you didn't want Lord Danbury to be happy, the dark-skinned black man in the show, and now you don't want Lady Danbury to be happy, the, you know, darkest skinned black woman there is in the show. It's just like, can she not be happy? Can she not have a great romance? And obviously the answer is no. But yeah, I said yay for Agatha finally getting enjoyable sex, but boo for her having to sleep with a married man for it. And that ends episode 5, and now we are on episode 6, and this is the last episode. So, I said, go Violet, get you a new man. When she was sitting there talking about considering it, I was like, yes, this is, you know, I don't know if that age, not of that age, but in that period in time, if when people's husband died, it was like, that's it, you're just a widow. Or no, because when Lady Danbury was talking to the solicitor, he was like, you do what all widows do, you seek the kindness of a male relative, or you remarry. So it was just like, okay, remarrying's not like a taboo thing now. So I just was happy that she was considering it. I said Charlotte and her children are so frigid with each other. It was just like, I'm not sure if y'all like or love each other. It was just like, you guys hate being in each other's company. There was nothing. I said, so then we flash back to young Charlotte, and she's confessing her love for George. She's like, I know you try to push me away, and it's because you love me. And he's like, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. And he's like, I do love you. My heart yearns for you and everything. It was just very cute. I was like, aww. Next, Lord Ledger bringing Violet to the meeting place felt like a slap in the face. He brought Violet to where he usually meets Lady Danbury for their walk, and it was just like, we just hooked up and now you're showing me your kid. Like, we can never have a life together because I'm already hitched with a kid. Maybe if I didn't have a child, we could be scandalous and like run away with each other, but I do. And so it's just like, you really could have did that by yourself. You didn't need to bring the kid. Next we flash back to the present, and they talk about infertility. So the kids are like, your crusade for this baby is like really harsh. Like, do you know how many children we've lost before it was time? And she's like, you've lost kids. And they're like, yes, we all have. And it's just like, it was a short little bit, and I wish they had talked more about it, because there is no IVF back in the days. Like, what do you do with that? And so that was interesting. Wish there had been more. Next, they talk about, one of the kids says during this time, you've been a queen, but you've never been our mother. And I think that is so, what am I trying to say? Profound. I think it's so profound, because there are a lot of people where it's like, yes, you've been a parent, but you've never been a mother. You've never been a father. Like, you've done your duties because CPS would be called if you hadn't, but you're not nurturing me as a person. And so I thought about that. It gave me something to think about. Then I said the older queen asking Brimsley about his family made me wonder why she never asked. And it also was just like, were him and Reynolds that good that they never got caught by the queen or the king for them to know that they were gay? I guess not. Next, I said Adolphus with the Riz, when he was like, oh, you're out of mourning, you know, can I court you? I was like, yes, go king. I think, no, he's a duke. He's a duke. But I was just like, yeah, like, very happy. Their baby comes, Charlotte and George, it's a boy. They refer to him as a king before, and I was just like, I don't know if you guys just kind of hope for a boy and so you just presume it, but they were like, yeah, our king, and yeah, of course that's George IV. Next, Oh, I said, why can't Charlotte ride in the carriage with George? When they were sitting there and George has to go address Parliament, I said, why can't she ride in the carriage with him? But they addressed that earlier, and they said that the king and the queen, because of line of succession, they can't ride in carriages together. But she could have rode there in a separate carriage and then been there for him when he got out of the carriage, because he's in the carriage and he's having one of his disassociations, and he, you know, does not get out to address Parliament. So it's just like, you could have been there for him. You were just sitting at home. Next, I said, Adolphus is such a sweet guy and I want him to be happy. He's such a caring man. So he goes to Lady Danbury's house and he proposes marriage. He's like, hey, you know, marry me, be my wife, come back to my country with me. And she's like, and he's like, you know what? I'll give you time to think about it, because, you know, you were owed that. I know this is kind of rushed, but I really do like you. I feel something here. And she's like, okay, we'll talk about it later. And the king and the queen have, they throw like a ball or something, because the king's not at Parliament, but he wants these people to see that he can actually come out in public and do stuff, because they're like, he's farming all day and he's not doing shit. Like, we need to do something. Is he still in sound mind? So next, I said Coral is well-meaning, and I wanted to see more of her. I keep calling her Cora, but her name is Coral, like in the ocean. But she just wanted the best for Lady Danbury, and it was kind of sad to see the way Lady Danbury treated her sometimes. It was like, just shut up. And it was like, I get that you're overwhelmed and that she's asking a lot of questions, but you need to put some respect on her name. You need to treat her better. Next, we're at the ball and Lady Danbury sees Adolphus and she's like, what would our life be if, you know, we get together? And he's like, you know, there would be parties, there would be this, there would be that. And he's like, I would step up me. He didn't say stepdad, but he was like, I would treat the Danbury children as if they were my own. And then, you know, of course, maybe you had 1, 2, maybe even 3 more children for me. And Lady Danbury's like, nah, can't do it. I'm not gonna marry you. It was just like, he was describing such a wonderful life, and I get why Lady Danbury said no, but it was also like, I want to see y'all happy. I want to see black love in Bridgerton. And obviously I knew it wasn't gonna happen, because in present day, when she was talking to Violet, she was like, you know, me and the queen's brother, you know, used to like go together. And Violet was like, gasp, really? And so it was like, obviously it doesn't happen, because the Violet would know about it if they had gotten together. But it was just like, damn, I wanted to see Adolphus be happy. I wanted to see Lady Danbury be happy. And I guess they both will find happiness, probably, just not with each other. And then they have a transition where they're dancing to I Will Always Love You. Yeah, they're dancing to I Will Always Love You at the party. There's Charlotte and what's his face and George and everything, and then there's a transition to Brimsley and Reynolds dancing. They're like dancing behind the bushes and whatnot, so nobody can see them, because obviously being gay is not allowed or accepted. And then it like cuts to the present day where Brimsley's just sitting there dancing by himself, and I'm like, where's Reynolds? What happened to him? I feel like we need to know, and hopefully they let us know in season 2. But he was dancing alone, and it was very heartbreaking. I was like, aw, my baby. And speaking of a baby, the queen's actions, she's been trying to get an heir for this whole season. She finally gets an heir, one of her sons who had just gotten married. Him and his wife do what you do to get a child, and they end up getting a child. And so she rides over to where George is. I don't know if he's still in Q, but she rides over there and she's like, George, it's me, you're Charlotte. And I was like, oh, not your Charlotte. And he's, you know, disassociating, and he's like mumbling about, and he's writing on the walls. And she goes under the bed like they did when they were younger, and she's like, just George, Farmer George, you know, come escape the heavens with me. And he goes under the bed, and he's like, it is quieter here. And she tells him the news. She's like, yeah, I think his name was Edmund. She's like, he's gonna have a kid and your line's gonna continue. And it was nice to see that she got what she wanted in the end. And you know, he thanks her for being there, and he's like, you didn't climb over the wall. And she's like, no, I didn't. And you can just tell that she was content with her decision to be with George, and that they had a long, love-filled marriage. And that was the end of Queen Charlotte. Did I enjoy it? Yes, I did. I think that at some points it was really slow, but also it is what it is. And I think that there was a lot of like unnecessary sex scenes. Like, I think that Lord Danbury and Lady Danbury sex scenes you could have cut half of that and just throw it out and it would have been fine. I did love the show. I don't know how I would rate it amongst the other Bridgertons. I think that season 1 of Bridgerton is my least favorite, so I think that season 2 of Bridgerton would be on the top of the tier. Then it would be Queen Charlotte of Bridgerton Story, and then season 1 of Bridgerton. And that is my ranking. I don't know what else to say because this has been a really long video. If you are still here, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you know when I post my next video. You can follow me on my social medias, which is my TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And also you can watch my last videos, which again are on the screen. It was my 2023 content bingo card. Before that, it was the Darby and the Dead review. And then before that, it was season 3 of Blood and Water review. I am Imara Walker. Thank you for coming here on a walk around sunshine, and I hope you have an amazing day.